There are encounters in life, so strange that you will never believe it actually happened. I used to think love was something that came slowly, like a cup of coffee cooling down in the morning, like the sunlight coming through the window in the early morning. But no, my love started with a scream, in the subway station. And she, the girl who turned all the usual rules upside down, entered my life like a whirlwind. From then on, I was no longer myself. This is the story of a rebellious girl, and a naive boy. The story you are about to hear is not exactly a love story, but a collision between two worlds. Shall we begin? I never expected love to enter my life like a slap in the face, or more accurately, a drunken girl collapsing into my arms in the middle of a subway train. That girl, in case you're wondering, was Claire. Claire, with the eyes that held more chaos than a tornado and a temper that could boil oceans. I was just an ordinary guy. Kevin, 24, recently unemployed, constantly tired, hopelessly average. I spent my nights writing scripts for indie game reviews that no one watched, and my days pretending I wasn't slowly falling apart. I wasn't looking for romance. Romance, however, was apparently hunting me down with a frying pan. The night we met was cold. The kind of cold that crept under your skin and reminded you how lonely it was to walk home alone. I was on the 9:42 train back from my friend's place, sipping cheap canned coffee and staring at my cracked phone screen. Then she stumbled in, literally stumbled, heels wobbling, mascara smudged like she'd just fought off a raccoon. She shouted something I couldn't hear over my headphones, but everyone else turned. And then she puked, right there, on the floor, a perfect arch of chaos. And me? I was too shocked to move, until she looked at me, eyes glassy, mouth quivering, and said, "You look like a safe place." Then she passed out, on me. Security thought she was my girlfriend. I tried to explain, but they just gave me the, "You scumbag," glare and told me to take care of her. So I did. I picked her up, dragged her to a nearby motel, and asked the universe what I did in a past life to deserve this karmic blind date from hell. She woke up around 3 a.m., sitting bolt upright like Frankenstein's monster. "Where am I?" she asked. "Who the hell are you?" I told her. She narrowed her eyes like I was lying, like I was some shady creep. "Did you touch me?" "No," I said, maybe too quickly. "You passed out. I didn't even know your name." "You still don't," she muttered. Then she passed out again. That was my first night with Claire. And no, it didn't get more normal after that. I didn't fall in love like they say in the movies. There was no slow motion. No music swelling in the background. I didn't even see her in soft lighting. I saw her in fluorescent subway lights, looking like chaos in heels. Her name was Claire, and this isn't a love story. This is a warning. It was a Tuesday. I remember that because Tuesdays are boring. And that day was especially boring, until it wasn't. I had just gotten off work. A miserable part-time desk job where I typed things no one read and answered emails no one sent. I was exhausted, the kind of exhausted where your soul is tired, not just your legs. I got on the train home. Same carriage, same seat, same people pretending not to exist. Then, suddenly, this girl stumbled into the train like she was being chased by invisible bees. She was pretty, but not the kind of pretty you'd swipe on Tinder and think, wife material. No, this was the kind of pretty that screamed, danger, in capital letters. Makeup smeared, jacket half off, eyes red from either crying, rage, or both. She looked around the train like she was about to start a fight. Then, "I swear to you," she pointed at me and said, "Greater than, you. You look like the type who wouldn't murder me." Then she walked over, stood directly in front of me, and passed out. Right onto my lap. Have you ever had a complete stranger collapse on you in public? It's not romantic. It's sweaty, confusing, and immediately makes you look guilty. Everyone on the train started. One guy whispered, "Pervert," under his breath. Another started filming. Someone pressed the emergency button like I was kidnapping her. I panicked, tried to shake her awake. She groaned, then burped, then whispered, "You smell like instant noodles." "I trust you." What do you even say to that? We got kicked off the train. I tried to explain to security. She's not my girlfriend. I don't know her. She literally passed out on me. They didn't care, they just wanted her gone. So now I'm standing in the cold night air, holding an unconscious woman in my arms, like a glitch in the matrix of my ordinary life. I didn't know what else to do. So I carried her to the nearest motel. Yes, a motel, the kind with flickering signs, peeling wallpaper, and that particular smell of loneliness and Lysol. The guy at the front desk raised an eyebrow. Room for two? No, I shouted. I mean yes, but no, I mean she's unconscious. Wrong answer. He handed me the key like I was trash. I laid her on the bed, put a bottle of water next to her, took off her shoes but not her socks. I didn't want to cross any boundaries. Then I sat in the corner, on the floor, trying to figure out if this was real life or a fever dream. She woke up at 3 a.m., sat straight up in bed like she'd just returned from the dead. Then she looked at me and asked, "Did we do it?" I almost passed out. No, God, no, you were unconscious. I just brought you here because I didn't know what else to do. She squinted. Did you take off my clothes? No, you're still fully dressed. You're wearing your jacket in bed, actually. She nodded. Okay, you're not a pervert. You're just weird. She drank the water. Then she fell back asleep. The next morning, she was gone. I woke up to an empty bed, half a granola bar on the table, and a post-it note that said, "Thanks, Instant Noodle Boy. You're not terrible. See you." I thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. 3 days later, I got a phone call, unknown number. I answered. Hello? Is this Kevin? Yes? You still owe me for the motel. Excuse me? You traumatized me. You witnessed me vomit and still carried me into a bug-ridden room. That's intimacy. You're buying me lunch, and like the idiot I am, I said yes. Lunch with Claire was like sitting across from a hurricane in lip gloss. She grilled me with questions. Have you ever cried during a movie? Are you religious? If I died right now, would you feel guilty? I didn't know whether to laugh or call an exorcist. She ordered the spiciest noodles on the menu and didn't flinch. I sneezed once, and she called me weak. She made me walk her home. Then, right before her apartment, she turned and said, "Don't fall in love with me." I laughed. She didn't. I'm serious. I break people. I raised an eyebrow, said, "You think that highly of yourself, huh?" She smiled, a sad smile. Then she went inside, and just like that, I was hooked. I tried to forget about Claire. I really did, but forgetting her was like trying to forget a car crash that happened in your living room. She was in my head, in my texts, in my recommended YouTube videos. Somehow, the algorithm knew before I did. I had feelings for a walking disaster. She started calling me, not regularly, just when it was least convenient. Once she called me at 2:14 a.m. to ask, if you had to bury a body, where would you do it? I thought it was a joke. It wasn't. She never explained what that was about. Another time, she showed up at my office with a fish. A live fish, in a bowl. I thought your life needed a little excitement, she said. Then she left it on my desk and walked out without another word. My boss thought I was running an aquarium on the side. We didn't date, not officially, but she was in my life like gravity, always pulling me into weird situations I didn't sign up for. Like the time she made me pretend to be her boyfriend because her ex was watching from across the cafe. "I need you to look obsessed with me," she whispered. Like Edward from Twilight obsessed. So I stared into her eyes and recited Shakespeare. She rolled her eyes. Too much. Dial it down. Be normally obsessed. I had no idea what that meant. But I tried. Afterward, she gave me a high five and said, "You're getting better at this." I didn't know what this was, but I wanted to keep doing it. Claire had rules. She never let me hold her hand for more than 5 seconds. She'd slap my wrist if I tried to open a door for her. She'd cry at random and pretend it was just allergies. And she hated birthdays. So, of course, I baked her a cake. It was ugly, lopsided, looked like a sad volcano. But it had strawberries, and her name in icing. To Claire, "Don't kill me." She stared at it, didn't say a word, then she threw a pillow at me. "That's the nicest thing anyone's ever done for me," she mumbled. One night, she called me to meet her at the park. It was raining hard. I showed up soaked, panting, confused. She was standing under a tree in a red hoodie, spinning in circles like a child. "Do you believe in time travel?" she asked. "What? Like, if you wait long enough in the same place, time brings people back to you." "I believe in umbrellas. Do you want mine?" She laughed, then stopped. "My dad used to bring me here before he left," she said quietly. "He said one day someone would love me like he did." Silence. I wanted to say something profound. Instead, I sneezed. She smiled. "Let's bury a time capsule," she said suddenly. "What? Right here. You and me. We'll come back in a year and dig it up." So we did. We buried a letter each. Hers said, "Don't fall in love with me. I warned you." Mine said, "Too late." I didn't realize I was in love until the day she disappeared. No warning, no text, no sarcastic memes, just silence. I called. No answer. I went to her apartment. Empty. I asked her friends. They shrugged. It was like she'd been erased. For weeks, I walked around like a zombie. Songs sounded different, food tasted like cardboard, and then one day, I got a letter. It had no return address. Inside was a note. If you still care, meet me at the hill. 1 year from today, at sunset. Don't be late. No signature. But I knew. That year dragged on. I started writing again, got a better job, stopped eating noodles every night. But every single day, I thought about that letter. I replayed every memory, every laugh, every weird fish bowl gift. And every time she said, "Don't fall in love with me," I did anyway. 1 year later, I went to the hill. Early, I waited, and waited. Sunset came. She didn't. I sat there until the sky turned black. And just as I was about to leave, I heard footsteps. A woman stood in front of me. Not Claire, her mom. She handed me another letter. Claire had gone abroad. She needed to heal, to face things I didn't even know about. Turns out, Claire wasn't just quirky. She was broken. Her last boyfriend, the one before me, had died suddenly in an accident. She never forgave herself for surviving. Her mom said I reminded her of him too much, and that scared her. That night, I went home and cried like a child. I felt stupid, used, but mostly, I missed her. That would have been the end. But life, like Claire, doesn't follow rules. 3 months later, I was at a bookstore. Yeah, I read now, and there she was. Wearing the same red hoodie, looking at the same sad poetry books. She turned, saw me, froze. Then she smiled. "You came," she whispered. I waited, I replied. Claire didn't run, didn't slap me, didn't say something sarcastic like, "Took you long enough." She just stood there, holding a book titled How to Love Yourself Without Crying. And then she said, "I don't want to be anyone's sad chapter anymore." I nodded. Then be the whole damn novel. She laughed, loudly, the kind of laugh that makes strangers turn around. We got coffee, sat at a small table in the corner like the universe was being generous for once. Everything felt the same and different at once. She still tapped the table when she talked. Still didn't stir her drink. Still looked like she was half in love with the moon and half at war with it. But this time, she looked tired. Not in the bad way. In the honest way, like someone who had finally stopped pretending she wasn't tired. "I didn't know how to stay," she said. "I didn't speak. I wanted to, so badly, but I was scared that if I let you love me, I'd break you too." "You didn't," I said. "You just confused the hell out of me." "I am confused. We didn't make promises that day. No dramatic music. No, I'll never leave again. Just two people sipping coffee, afraid to touch each other, but too tired to lie." Then she looked at me and asked, "Do you still have the time capsule?" I never dug it up. She smiled. Good. A week later, we went back to the park. Same hill, same tree, same damp ground. We dug until our fingers were muddy and frozen. Found the box, slightly rusted, slightly smaller than I remembered. Inside, her letter, my letter, one lollipop, and a photo of us she must have slipped in before leaving. She read mine first. She didn't speak, but her eyes got glassy. Then I read hers again. "Don't fall in love with me. I warned you." "I didn't listen," I said. "Thank you," she whispered. From that point on, we started again. Not dating, not labeling, just existing together. We met once a week. No pressure. Sometimes she'd talk for hours. Sometimes we'd sit in silence. She still brought me weird gifts. Once it was a single sock with a frog embroidered on it. She said it looked like me. I started to understand her chaos wasn't random. It was armor. Every sarcastic comment was a shield. Every random act of weirdness, a test. She didn't want someone to fix her. She wanted someone who wouldn't run when she broke herself. And I didn't run. Eventually, she reached for my hand. In the middle of a movie. No words, just fingers brushing and holding. This time, longer than 5 seconds. She didn't pull away. I didn't breathe for 2 minutes. Later that night, she asked, "Are you still scared of me?" I said, "A little." She said, "Good, I'm scared too. We fought sometimes." She once accused me of being too nice. "Stop trying to save me," she snapped. "I'm not a puppy in a thunderstorm." I told her I wasn't trying to save her. I was just trying to stand next to her without getting electrocuted. She laughed and cried at the same time. Then she kissed me. Not a movie kiss. A real one. Messy. Tired. But honestly, things got better after that. Not easy. Just better. She started sleeping more. Stopped calling me at 2 a.m. asking philosophical questions. Started texting me, "Good morning," instead of, "The moon is mocking me again." I started writing again. Not just scripts for work, real stories. About people like her. About chaos and healing and everything in between. She read them all. She even cried once and said, "You make me feel like I'm not the villain in my own story." "You never were," I said. One day, she said something I'll never forget. "If I ever leave again, don't follow me. But don't forget me either." I told her I wouldn't forget her if I had amnesia. She smiled. "Even when I'm old and boring?" "You'll never be boring. You might be a menace in orthopedic shoes. But never boring." She punched my arm. Then she whispered, "I love you, Noodle Boy." After she said she loved me, everything changed. Not in a fireworks exploding, we suddenly became a romantic comedy sort of way. More like, our chaos became a routine. A soft, messy rhythm that made sense only to us. We still fought. One time she got mad because I forgot to buy ketchup. She threw a slipper at me like it was a medieval weapon and accused me of trying to sabotage her fries emotionally. I tried to argue that mustard exists. She said mustard is a betrayal in a bottle. And somehow, by the end of that night, we were watching a documentary about whales and she was hugging me like I saved her from drowning. Another time, she made me meet her grandfather. He was terrifying. He looked like he had fought in 5 wars and won all of them with just his eyebrows. He asked me, "What do you do for a living?" I said, "I'm a writer." He blinked once. Slowly. "Poor," he said, "but at least not a criminal." Claire clapped like I'd just passed an exam. That was love, I guess. She told me her dreams slowly. One night, while we were lying on the floor eating cereal straight from the box, she said she wanted to open a flower shop. I laughed. She looked offended. "What? I like flowers," she said. "They bloom, then they die. It's poetic." I told her I'd write her a poem every time she made a sale. She said, "Deal, but no rhyming love with above. I will throw things." Sometimes she disappeared for hours without a word. I'd panic, call her 6 times. No answer. Then she'd come back like nothing happened. One time she brought me a cactus. "Sorry," she said, "I saw it and thought of you. Pointy and hard to kill." I didn't ask where she'd been. I knew better by then. Eventually, she gave me a drawer in her apartment. That was huge. Bigger than "I love you." Bigger than meeting the grandfather. Claire giving space? That was like the moon offering you a key. Inside the drawer, I kept socks, a toothbrush, and a tiny notebook where I wrote things she said. Like, "If people were food, I'd be expired yogurt. I like you best when you're not trying too hard. I'm not dramatic. The world is just boring." That notebook became my Bible. One night, we talked about the future. I said, "Do you think we'll be like this in 5 years?" She replied, "Like what?" "This. You, me, weird chaos, cereal on the floor." She was silent. Then she said, "I don't know. But if we are, I hope we're still laughing." Then she kissed me on the forehead and said, "But if you ever propose to me with a ring in a dessert, I will choke on purpose." Seasons change. We watched cherry blossoms fall in spring, sat on hot concrete in summer, danced in the kitchen in autumn, and huddled under the blanket like scared raccoons in winter. She burned rice. I overwater her plants. She turned my t-shirts into crop tops during laundry by accident. I pretended to hate it, but secretly loved that she messed up everything I owned. Life wasn't perfect, but it was ours. Then came the piano. I found her one day, sitting in the old apartment building lobby, pressing random keys on a dusty upright piano. "Didn't know you played," I said. "I don't," she replied. "But it listens better than people do." I sat beside her. She started playing a tune. Broken, uneven, but haunting. I asked, "What's it called?" She whispered, "The sound of trying not to cry." I didn't say anything, just sat there, pretending I didn't feel my heart stretch. But deep down, I knew she was fading again. She became quieter. She didn't call me Noodle Boy as much. She stopped leaving sticky notes on my laptop. She smiled less, and when she did, it felt like someone holding up a broken mirror, reflecting something that used to be whole. One night, she said, "I'm not okay." I held her. She cried into my shirt until it was soaked. Then she said, "You can't fix me. I don't want you to try." I told her I didn't need to fix her. "I just want to stay," I whispered. She shook her head. "That's what scares me." Weeks passed. She was distant, but she tried. And I kept showing up. Until one morning, I got to her apartment and found a letter taped to the door. No knock, no goodbye, just a letter. It said, "Don't hate me. I need to disappear before I make you disappear too. You were the only quiet in my head. But even quiet gets loud sometimes. I love you, I do, but I'm not ready to be loved back." Signed. See, I stood there for a long time. Then I left. Time then passed like a fog. Without Claire, everything was. Slow down. The food no longer tastes good. Music is all about loss. And the sofa where she used to sit, the one that sank from jumping up and down, suddenly became a sad sanctuary. I go to work. I went home. I opened the closet and still saw the frog-embroidered sock she had given me. I dare not throw it away. I also didn't dare look at the drawer in the bathroom, where there was still the Claire brush left behind. Every time I was about to clean up, I thought, what if she comes back? I know it sounds stupid, but when loving someone like Claire, being foolish is the first thing to accept. 3 months later, I received a package. There is no sender's name. Inside is a music box, classic, oak wood, old but clean. When it is played, it does not play music. There was only a small piece of paper, handwritten. I still hear English in my head. But this time, it didn't scare me anymore. Signed. See, I laughed. Then I cried. Then I laughed while crying. Classic. I started writing again. This time it's not for social media, not for views, nor for impressing employers. I write for myself. I write about a rebellious, eccentric, contradictory, and wonderful girl who once told me to be a fireworker on a rainy day. I call that manuscript, The Sound of Trying Not to Cry. Claire would hate that name, but they will also print it out and secretly show it off to their best friend. I know her. I started writing again. This time it's not for social media, not for views, nor for impressing employers. I write for myself. I write about a rebellious, eccentric, contradictory, and wonderful girl who once told me to be a fireworker on a rainy day. I call that manuscript, The Sound of Trying Not to Cry. Claire would hate that name, but they will also print it out and secretly show it off to their best friend. I know her. One day, I was in the park, stopping by the place where we had dug time capsules before. I sat down, take out a notebook. Right. Day 103 was without Claire. There were no more sandals, no more grumbling because the ketchup was over, no more pillows she had won while sleeping. Then I heard the music coming from somewhere. It's piano music. I stood up. Follow the music. A piano stands temporarily under the tree. Next to it is she, Claire. Her hair was longer, eyes slightly darker, but it's still her. I don't believe in fate, but perhaps fate believed in me. She stopped playing when she saw me standing there. Hi, I said. She smiled. A real smile, not forced. Did you bring ketchup? She asked. I pulled out a mini ketchup pack from my pocket. She laughed. You're still me. And you're still me, I said. We sat down on the bench. Silence. But it's a kind of warm silence. The kind that understands each other without saying anything. I didn't come to make any promises, Claire said. Good. You didn't come to bind anyone. We can try again, she whispered. From the beginning. No deadline. No definition. It's just that the two of you have failed. Trying again. I nodded. Then hold out your hand. She grabbed it, and stopped letting go. We didn't go back to how things were. We didn't even try. Claire and I knew too well by now. Rewinding only works on remote controls, not people. So instead, we started something new. A version of us that didn't need fixing, just patience. No more grand declarations. No wild dares. Number 3 a.m. calls about time travel or hypothetical crimes. Now, it was soft. Quiet. Real. We met twice a week, no more, no less. Not out of rules. Claire hated rules, but rhythm. We were learning to live without drowning in each other. One Tuesday, she showed up at my door with a bag full of lemons. Lemons? I asked, confused. Life gave me too many, she said. Help me make something. So we made lemonade, then lemon pasta, then lemon cake. We ate everything on the floor, laughing like we were in a commercial for perfectly flawed relationships. That night, she dozed off on my shoulder and whispered, "This is nice." I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. Yeah, I said, nice is underrated. There were days we said nothing at all. We just sat by the riverbank. Sometimes she drew, sometimes I wrote, sometimes we did absolutely nothing and called it healing. But healing isn't linear. Some days, she shut down completely. One night, she stared at her phone for hours. I asked, "Want to talk?" She shook her head. "Want me to sit here?" She nodded. So I sat. For 4 hours. No talking, no touching, just being. Sometimes, loving someone means doing nothing, and doing it well. She told me stories about her childhood in fragments. How she once buried her favorite stuffed rabbit in the backyard because it looked too sad. How she believed for years that stars were holes poked in the sky by ghosts who missed Earth. How she used to sing to plants because she thought loneliness could kill flowers. I didn't laugh. I wrote everything down in my notebook. Because people like Claire, They forget how beautiful they are unless someone reflects it back gently. We never said, we're dating. Labels didn't fit us. We weren't boyfriend-girlfriend. We were companions in controlled chaos. She still hated ketchup. I still overcooked rice. We still argued over which animal would survive a zombie apocalypse. She said raccoons, I said housecats. But under all of that, there was something solid. A quiet kind of love. The kind that doesn't scream or demand. The kind that waits at the edge of every goodbye, hoping it never has to be used. Then came the letter. She handed it to me one day after we just watched a bad horror movie together. Don't open it now, she said. Okay, when? She shrugged. When you feel like I've disappeared again. I wanted to argue. I wanted to say, that won't happen this time. But we both knew promises were fragile, especially hers. So I tucked it in my notebook, next to all her strange quotes and half-drawn doodles. And I didn't open it. Not yet. We kept going, until the day came when we didn't. It was raining the day she left. Fitting, I guess. Claire always had a flair for dramatic timing, whether she meant to or not. She didn't say goodbye. There was no fight, no final kiss, no slamming of doors or echo of footsteps down the hallway. Just absence, loud and obvious and hollow. I came home one evening, arms full of groceries we never agreed on. I got both ketchup and mustard, because I knew it would spark a debate. And there was silence, not the cozy kind, the she's gone kind. Her keys were on the table. Her cactus was still on the windowsill, but dry. No note, except the one she gave me weeks ago, the one I never opened. I sat there for an hour, maybe more, holding the envelope like it might bite. I wanted to believe this was a test, a prank, that she'd jump out from behind the curtains and say, gotcha. You thought I was emotionally available? But the room didn't laugh. The envelope felt heavier than it looked. I finally tore it open. Inside. Dear Kevin, I don't know how to leave quietly, so I'm doing it cowardly. Don't think I don't love you. I do. That's why I'm going. You made me feel normal, and that scared me more than being broken ever did. With you, I started to believe I could stay. That I deserved soft things. But what if I hurt you next? What if I ruin what little peace you found? I don't want you to remember me as the girl who couldn't heal, even with your love. So I'm leaving while the memory's still good. Maybe one day, we'll meet again. And I'll be better, whole, or maybe not, and that's okay too. Just know, I never lied. Love, the girl with too many lemons. I cried, not the dramatic sobbing you see in movies. Not the forehead to wall, hand clutching the air kind. No, I cried like someone who ran out of words. The quiet crying, the kind where your chest just gives out. I curled up on the floor. The groceries rolled across the tiles. The ketchup bottle cracked. Claire would have said it was symbolic. She always found poetry in messes. Days passed. I tried not to count. I filled my time with things. Work, noise, sleep, food, half-finished essays about love that felt like fiction again. I told myself she needed space. That maybe she'd come back. Then I told myself she wouldn't. Then I told myself to stop thinking. None of it helped. The apartment felt like her ghost. Her favorite hoodie still hung on the back of the chair. There was glitter stuck to the bottom of a drawer. I found a napkin with a doodle of me as a potato. She'd left everything, except herself. I almost texted her once. Typed out, "You forgot the cactus." But I deleted it, because maybe she didn't forget. Maybe she just couldn't take care of it anymore. Like me. But here's the thing no one tells you about loving a chaotic person. You don't regret the noise, you miss it. Time passed in awkward shapes. Weeks folded into months. I changed my sheets, watered her cactus, got a haircut I hated, watched a movie we promised we'd see together, without her. There were still traces of Claire everywhere. The lemon-scented candle I refused to light. That one Spotify playlist named, For Screaming in the Bathtub. The stupid fridge magnet that said, live, laugh, leave before you cry. Everything became a souvenir. I tried dating again. Once. A girl named Lucy. She was sweet, stable, liked hiking and oat milk. She laughed at all the right moments. She asked me about my job. She complimented my shirt. But the entire time, I kept wondering, would Claire have flicked the candle on the table just to annoy me? Would she have made up a fake backstory for the couple next to us? Would she have turned the date into a bet? If she says, vibes, 3 times, you pay. Probably. And that's how I knew I wasn't ready. Lucy deserved someone fully present. I was still living with an echo. One evening, I went back to the hill. The one with the tree. The time capsule spot. The exact place where she once asked me if I believed in time travel. I brought a pen, a notebook, and a new letter. I dug just a little, enough to make space. And I buried the letter. I didn't write a goodbye. I wrote, "You were worth the confusion. You were the most beautiful detour I ever took. Thank you for making chaos feel like home." Something shifted after that, not dramatically, but gently, like a door creaking open in a quiet room. I started laughing at my own jokes again. Stopped checking my phone every time it buzzed. I bought a new cactus. Named it Kevin too. And slowly, painfully, beautifully, I started living without her shadow. Until one morning, the universe blinked. I was at a local bookstore. I don't know why I went in. Maybe to avoid the rain. Maybe because Claire always said, bookstores are like airports, full of people about to go somewhere emotional. I turned into the poetry aisle. And there she was, Claire, hair shorter, wearing a navy sweater that swallowed her hands, holding a book titled, The Art of Staying. She didn't see me at first. She was reading the blurb, lips slightly parted, eyes scanning like she was memorizing something she'd already lived. And then she looked up. She froze. So did I. No grand music played. No slow motion running. Just two people standing still in a bookstore, stunned by the fact that time had circled back. "You came back," I whispered. Claire blinked, then she smiled, the kind of smile that broke me once and stitched me back together now. "I never really left," she said. "I just took the long way home." We didn't talk about getting back together. Instead, we talked about soup. About how cold weather makes people nostalgic. About whether ghosts get bored haunting the same people forever. But under every word was a pulse. A hum of recognition, like two people who knew the storm was over, but still remembered how to swim just in case. She came over that evening. We didn't kiss right away. We didn't rush into some grand reunion scene. Instead, we stood in the kitchen, staring at the fridge. The magnet was still there. Live, laugh, leave before you cry. Claire pointed at it and said, "That's outdated." So she replaced it, with a note that simply read, "Greater than, leave, if you must. But come back if it's real." I stuck it on the fridge and whispered, "Stay." She nodded. "I want to try," she said. "Not, I promise. Not, I'll never leave again. Just, I want to try." That was enough. Part 10. My Sassy Girl, Retold. The extended ending and epilogue. Approximately 10,000 to 11,000 words, first person, warm, thoughtful tone. After the reunion, no rushing, just slow, soft closure, or is it a new beginning? She didn't move in, not officially, but her socks started appearing again, scattered like clues. A toothbrush found its way back to my sink. She put exactly one spoon in the wrong drawer and called it personalization. I didn't ask for more. I didn't need a declaration. Sometimes the smallest routines say, "I'm staying," louder than any vow. We built new habits. Saturday mornings were for grocery shopping, her pushing the cart, me trying to talk her out of unnecessary snack experiments. Tuesday nights were for bad documentaries. She insisted on narrating every scene like a dramatic voice actor from a fantasy series. And every now and then, she'd pause mid-sentence, look at me, and say, "You're still here." Not a question, a marvel. I'd reply, "I'm always here." She didn't say, "I love you," every day. But she said things like, "Don't die before me, okay? If I get famous, I'll still invite you to red carpet events as my emotional support human. You make silence feel full." And once, while half asleep, she whispered, "Even if we reincarnate, I'll still bully you." Which, from her, was love in its purest form. But there were setbacks. Of course. One night, she stayed out too late. Didn't answer her phone. I waited on the couch with all the lights on. She came home quietly. No excuses. Just eyes that apologized before her mouth could. I didn't yell. I said, "You're safe now." She broke down, and in between sobs, she told me she still battles the voice that says she ruins everything she touches. I held her tighter, told her that voice is outdated. That she touches things and makes them grow, not break. Like me. One day, we visited her grandfather again. He looked older, less terrifying. He pulled me aside and said, "She still laughs because of you. That's enough." Then he handed me a jar of homemade kimchi, which, in his language, was basically a blessing and a background check clearance in one. I wrote again, not just because of Claire, but because something in me had finally settled. I published a short story. Guess who showed up to the bookstore event in sunglasses and a hoodie like she was undercover? Claire. She brought a megaphone, didn't use it, but the threat was there. We took a trip to the mountains. No service. No plans. Just us. She screamed into the valley. I exist. I screamed. She exists. Then we laughed for 15 minutes straight. And at night, under the stars, she asked, "What if one day this ends?" I said, "Then it'll end. But not today." She nodded, then fell asleep with her head on my chest and one sock halfway off. This wasn't the kind of love that changes the world. It was the kind that builds one quietly. One burnt breakfast, one badly folded towel, one shared playlist at a time. We weren't perfect, but we were possible, and that, after everything, felt like a miracle. So, it finally happened. Claire moved in. Not like before, this time was official. There was a contract, boxes, arguments about closet space. She brought her entire mug collection. I didn't even know she drank tea. "You only have 3 shirts," she said, holding up one of mine like it was a biohazard. "They rotate," I defended. She rolled her eyes and labeled my side of the closet. Minimalism or laziness, TBD. Our first week was weird. Not bad, just full. We argued about forks. Apparently, I don't know how to organize cutlery, like a sane person. She installed sticky notes around the kitchen. "No expired sauce, Kevin. Claire's shelf, trespassers will be judged. Put the lid on rice." It's not a free spirit. I called her dramatic. She stuck googly eyes on my toothbrush in retaliation. That's how we said, "I love you," now, through passive-aggressive art. But it wasn't all cute chaos. Living together meant seeing everything. Like how I talk to myself while brushing my teeth. Or how she sometimes stares into the fridge like it personally betrayed her. One night, I caught her crying in the hallway. No trigger. No fight, just the weight of everything pressing down, suddenly, silently. I sat beside her, didn't ask questions, didn't fix it, just held her until her breath slowed. That's the thing about Claire, she doesn't need solving. She needs space to fall apart without feeling like a burden. She decorated the apartment in organized nonsense. There was a disco ball in the bathroom, a lava lamp in the kitchen, and 3 rubber ducks in the shower who observe and report. My minimalist soul cried, but I let it go. Because for the first time, the place didn't just look alive, it felt like us. Sundays became sacred. We'd wake up late, eat cereal from giant bowls, and lay in bed with our feet tangled like we had nowhere else to be. She'd read out loud from whatever random book she found. Sometimes poetry, sometimes IKEA manuals, for dramatic effect, she said. I'd write, and she'd sketch, not of me, of weird things. Like a crocodile in a sweater, or a ghost filing taxes. Or a cactus with anxiety. I asked once, "What do these mean?" She shrugged. "They're how I feel when I'm too happy and scared I'll ruin it." I kissed her shoulder and said, "Then ruin it. We'll rebuild." That was the deal now. We didn't avoid the mess. We lived in it, together. It started with a sock. One of mine, left in the middle of the living room. Claire tripped over it, cursed loudly, then held it up like it was a symbol of betrayal. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I blinked, confused. "It's just a sock." "No, it's not just a sock. It's every sock. It's the dishes. It's the lights you never turn off. It's you leaving cabinet doors open like we're in a horror movie." I laughed. Wrong move. The argument exploded. Suddenly it wasn't about socks or dishes or ghost cabinets. It was about all the little things we'd ignored. The silences we mislabeled as peace. The compromises we thought didn't need naming. Claire said I didn't listen. I said she expected me to read her mind. She said I wasn't emotionally present. I said she disappeared whenever things got too real. She said, maybe we're not actually good for each other. I didn't say anything, because at that moment, I wasn't sure she was wrong. She stormed out, left her phone, her keys, took nothing but her hoodie and her rage. I stared at the door long after it slammed shut. The apartment felt like it had been hollowed out. Even the disco ball in the bathroom looked disappointed. I didn't text her. Not that night, not the next morning. I didn't know if I was giving her space or punishing her. Didn't know if I was angry or just scared she'd prove her point. That we weren't strong enough for the quiet parts. Three days passed. The cactus died. I forgot to water it. I cried over a plant that didn't even have a name. I missed her. Even in the anger, even in the distance, I missed her. Then came the envelope. No name on the front. Just taped to the door like déjà vu. Inside was a note. I didn't leave. Not this time. I just needed to remember how to stay without turning it into a performance. I love you, even when I don't know how to show it. Signed. C. I opened the door, and there she was, sitting on the hallway floor. Hoodie up, eyes red. She looked up at me like I was both her safe place and her biggest fear. I'm scared we're becoming one of those couples, she whispered. The ones that start loud and end quietly. I sat beside her, took her hand. I don't care if we're loud or quiet. I just want us to stay real. She nodded, and for the first time in days, she smiled. That night, we didn't fix everything. But we fell asleep on the couch, wrapped in one blanket, holding the pieces, together. Because love, the kind that's worth it, isn't about never breaking. It's about staying, even when you're cracked. It happened on a Tuesday. I came home with 2 bags of groceries, one full of essentials, the other full of snacks Claire would deny buying and eat anyway. She was on the couch, staring at her phone like it had just insulted her. Everything okay? I asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she turned the screen toward me. It was a message, from him, her ex, the one I only knew through vague stories and one particularly haunting phrase. He made me feel like a fire, useful until I got out of control. He'd reached out, said he was in town, said he'd change, said he wanted to talk. Claire hadn't replied, but the storm was already gathering in her eyes. I don't want to see him, she said, but something in her voice trembled. So I asked, gently, do you want closure? She hesitated, then nodded. I hate that part of me still cares what he thinks, she said. I hate that I still wonder if it was my fault. I didn't try to fix that. Didn't offer cliches about healing or self-worth. I just said, you don't owe him anything. But if you want to face it, I'll be here. Not to save you, just to stand beside you. She cried, and that night, we held each other like we were the last 2 people who still believed in softness. 2 days later, she met him. In a public place. Broad daylight. No alcohol. No what-ifs. I waited outside, in a cafe across the street. She told me I didn't have to, but I did. Not out of jealousy. Out of respect. She needed to face the ghost. I just needed her to know she had a home waiting after. She came out 40 minutes later. Didn't cry. Didn't say much. Just sat down beside me, stole my drink, and whispered, he's still the same. Only quieter. I didn't ask for more. But later that night, as we lay in bed, she whispered, he said I was always too much. I kissed her shoulder, and I said, no, you were just too much for you. And I wasn't enough to carry it. She looked at me. You don't try to carry me, she said. I don't have to, I replied. You carry yourself. I just walk beside you. She buried her face in my chest. I hated who I was with him. And now? She paused, then smiled. I like who I am, with you. The past doesn't vanish. It lingers, echoes, hums under the surface. But sometimes, the present is loud enough to drown it out. I thought I was the stable one. The grounded partner. The steady hand to her storm. The one who keeps the fridge full and the feelings folded neatly in the sock drawer. But even calm cracks. It started slowly. Sleepless nights. Overthinking everything I said, everything she didn't say. Waking up exhausted even after 8 hours of sleep. Claire noticed first. You're quieter than usual, she said, poking my cheek like it might reboot me. I smiled, said I was fine, lied. There was no dramatic moment. No breakdown in the middle of traffic or on the bathroom floor. Just, one Thursday night. We were watching TV. Something dumb and funny, the kind of thing we used to laugh through. She made a joke, a good one, and I didn't laugh. She turned to me. Hey, where are you? I tried to answer, but the words got stuck somewhere between my stomach and throat. Then, I just broke. I feel like I'm failing at everything, I whispered. Claire blinked. What? I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know if I'm enough. I don't know why I feel heavy all the time. She said nothing, so I kept going. I keep thinking you'll wake up and realize I'm not funny enough, or deep enough, or weird enough. That you'll outgrow me like a favorite jacket that just doesn't fit anymore. Still nothing. My chest hurts. I think I've been pretending to be okay for so long, I forgot how to be real. Claire got up, walked out of the room. I stared at the door, heart sinking. She left, of course she did. 5 minutes later, she came back. With her notebook with a pen. She opened to a blank page and wrote, in giant letters, you are allowed to feel messed up. Then she shoved it into my lap. Don't do that again, she said softly. Do what? Shrink. To make me feel better. To seem okay. I don't want that. She sat beside me, close, but not touching yet. You don't have to be the stable one all the time, she said. You're not my emotional bodyguard. You're my partner. I looked at her. You're not disappointed? She scoffed. Kevin, I've fallen in love with your chaos more than once. I think I can handle your quiet, too. That night, she stayed up with me. No fixing, no deep conversations, Just her, humming under her breath, sketching something abstract on my hand with a pen. I'm drawing your brain, she said. What does it look like? Like a library that caught fire and started growing sunflowers. I laughed. For the first time in days, maybe weeks. Turns out, even the steady ones fall. But the right person doesn't catch you. They sit beside you in the rubble. It was raining again. Same kind of rain as the day she first vanished. But this time, she was beside me, holding my hand like it was her anchor. We sat in a train station. Not to go anywhere, just to watch people leave and return. Claire liked doing that, said it reminded her that everyone's in the middle of something. She turned to me, her hair slightly frizzy from the rain. I have one more thing for you. She reached into her bag and pulled out an envelope. I groaned. Oh no, not again. She smirked. Don't worry, this one's not a goodbye. It's a, just in case. In case of what? In case I forget how to say this out loud. I didn't open it right away. We watched trains come and go. She made up stories about the people on them. That guy's running from a cursed inheritance. That woman's a spy, but for turtles. That kid's a wizard but doesn't know it yet. I nodded, playing along. Then I said, what about us? She thought for a moment. We're two people who met at the wrong time, twice, but stayed long enough to make it the right time. When we got home, I opened the letter. It read, Dear Kevin, you know how you always say you don't believe in fate? Do you think people choose each other, not because of destiny, but because of decisions? I love that about you. But I think I do believe in fate. Not in stars or soulmates or signs, but in timing. I think fate is when two messy people meet, hurt each other a little, heal a lot, and still say, let's keep trying. You were never calm after my storm. You were the storm that made me brave enough to rebuild. I love you, always will, even if we burn the rice. Even if we forget anniversaries. Even if we outgrow the apartment, the city, or ourselves. Love isn't a perfect ending. It's a choice we make again and again. And today, I choose you. Signed, C. I folded the letter and tucked it in the back of my notebook. The same one where I wrote about her socks, her ghost stories, her lemon obsession. She walked into the room wearing one of my shirts and holding 2 mugs of terrible instant cocoa. What are you smiling about? She asked. I looked at her, at the girl who once dared me to time travel, at the woman who stayed, and I said, just thinking, you're the best mistake I ever made on purpose. We weren't perfect, but we were real, and that, after everything, was enough. Maybe even more than enough. The end. Let me know if I want to tell you about this crazy but beautiful love story. Good night.